Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Shishya Atma Samarpan Karpanya Dosho Upahata Swabhavaha Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sammudha Cheta Yashreyasyan Niṣṭhitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. Om. Welcome to the class. We started with Karma Yoga in our previous class. Karma Yoga starts with a question from Arjuna, wherein he says, Jyayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardhana. If it is your opinion that knowledge is superior to karma, then tat kim karmani ghore mam, then why is it that you are asking me to engage in this terrible karma? Niyojayasi Keshava. Why are you, prompting me to do that? That is the way the chapter started. We have a long Shankara Bhashyam to it as an introduction. So we went through what Acharya had spoken there. And then we started with the first shloka. So today we will jump into the second shloka in which he completes his question and the response from Bhagavan. The second shloka goes like this. Vyamishrenev vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada niṣṭhitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. Going word by word, Vyamishrena iva. That is Vyamishrena iva. Vyamishrena is as though confusing or contradicting. Iva makes it as though. Right? So, Vakyena, the words being spoken, literally the sentence being spoken by you. Buddhim goes with me buddhi, which is mohaya siva me, that is buddhim, me buddhim, my mind, perplexing my intellect. Mohayasiva me, mohayasi iva. You are perplexing, you are making me delusional. Iva, again, as though, brings the context that it feels like, though it perhaps is not. The assertion of submission is seen here in the question. Tad ekam, that one thing, vada, tell, niṣṭhitya, with certainty. After determining with clarity, devoid of any uncertainty, is what the niṣṭhitya represents. Yena, by which, shreyaha aham apnuyam. Shreyaha, that is that which brings welfare, goodness, shreyas to me, aham to me, apnuyam, that I can attain, that I can reach. So this is the way that he completes his question. First thing is, he is saying knowledge is superior to karma. Then why is it that you are asking me to engage in a ghore karmani? That too not a small act, it is a terrible act. The way that you have put it is kind of confusing to me. So can you please, with certainty, give me that direction which will bring welfare, is the way that Arjuna has asked the question. Let us analyze the question. So have you ever gone to a doctor who said exercise is important, but you should take rest? Eat less, but eat more protein. Now, you may be walking away wondering what exactly did the doctor say? The word iva, as though, is important. He is not arguing, he is not protesting, he is expressing his confusion. That humility can be seen here. We highlight the term Shraddha when it comes to this iva in this context. He's not accusing Lord Krishna. He's not saying you are confusing me. He's not saying you are confused. He's not saying your Upadesh is wrong. He's establishing that he is the one who is confused using this word iva. In terms of Shraddha, there are three kinds of Shraddha. Sometimes it is also called as Su-Shraddha or just Shraddha. The information I received is not properly settling into my mind. Now I doubt my mind and seek clarification. I have a firm belief that this text is correct. The teacher is correct. Problem is in me being able to assimilate. So it is important to seek the clarification. At the same time, express that I am not doubting the value being spoken. So that is what is Shraddha. That is what is Su-Shraddha. Ashraddha is deciding from within that, man, this teacher is wrong or this text is wrong, right? And this we have come across even in the school, where when the teacher is teaching and it is not settling into my mind, I will blame the teacher for it. That is called as Ashraddha. And Kushraddha is I have been unable to assimilate it in my mind, but I will believe in what the teacher told me. Remember, such Shraddha is only a transient one, right? It is not going to take you to your goal. It is still Shraddha, but it is blind Shraddha. So that is what here we speak about when we take the word iva. When the doctor had told this to me, I had a sense of seeking the clarity with the doctor to say, hey, what do you mean? Exercise is important, rest is important. Then he may go on to explain that, hey, you have to have the exercise being done, but at the same time, do not exert yourself or something like that. So there can be some clarification that we can receive when our Shraddha is Shuddha Shraddha. That is the emphasis that we give from this question. Relevance to today. Arjuna's question remains in today's world as well. Just the words may have changed. Now, many people ask, should I meditate or should I go and do my work? Should I study Vedanta or do Karma Yoga? Should I renounce or remain active? So these are all things that a lot of people have asked. And this is a very normal way of communication. And that clarification is what we are going to see in the upcoming answers. The mark of a sincere student is not blind agreement, but honest confusion expressed with humility. That is the value we get from this shloka. Tad ekam vada. The interesting thing is, Arjuna says, ekam vada, tell me one thing. But in the third shloka, when Bhagavan starts, he will say, Lokesmin Dvividhā Niṣṭhā pura prokta mayanaga. Asmin loke, in this world, Dvividhā, there are two patterns, and Niṣṭhā, there are two paths, is the way that he will start. But that is an interesting portion where we say that Arjuna says, Ekam vada, but Bhagavan starts saying there are two. It is not blindly one. We will get to the answers when we get to the next shloka. In the Bhashyam, Acharya says, even if the Lord's intention is actually clear and distinct, Vivikta Abhiprayah, to my dull intellect, he says, Manda Buddhi, your words appear as though mixed and confusing. Vyamishram iva. Therefore, it seems as though you are bewildering. Mohayasivam, my understanding, my buddhi. But if you hold that the discriminative wisdom, viveka vijnanam of knowledge and action cannot both be practiced by the same person, Eka Purusha Anusthana Asambhavam, then clearly declare which one alone, the knowledge or the action, is to be undertaken by Arjuna as the means to the highest goodness, which is Shreya. By which knowledge or action may I attain the highest good, the Shreyas, is the way Acharya has given his explanation for this shloka. Then he goes to further expand, saying that if knowledge were taught as merely secondary to specific actions, then Arjuna's question would not be to choose one between the two, but would remain about a single unified path. For the Lord has certainly not taught unity, ekatvam, of knowledge and action to be accepted blindly or without inquiry. Therefore, perceiving within himself a conflict, sangarsham is the way that Acharya has put it, between the two convictions, Arjuna seeks only one path. Prashna anurupena eva prativachanam. This introduces the next shloka, saying that in response to this question, Bhagavan will speak the following. Going to the third shloka. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Lokesmin Dvividhā Niṣṭhā Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. So going word by word. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shri Bhagavan spoke. Lokesmin Dvividhā. Loke, in this world, Dvi, two kinds of vidha. There are three ways this word is used. One is called as prakaran, kind of, sort of, the way of. This is called as jati. And in riti, it is the manner, which is bound by the vidhi, bound by the rules. Rupam is form. So here, when he says, Asmin loke dvividha niṣṭhā, he is talking in terms of the lifestyle. That is what he is, the way of. This is the jati that he is specifically talking about here. Niṣṭhā, steadfast application, established and well followed way of life. Pura prokta mayanaga. Pura is in the past. Prokta was said. Maya, by me. Anagha is the name that he is addressing Arjuna, one who is sinless. Agham is sinful. Anagha is sinless. And what are they? Jnana Yogena, the path of exploratory knowledge. For whom? For those who are in the path of Atmajnan, Sankhyanam. Then Karma Yogena, and of Karma Yoga. We have spoken about Karma Yoga, which is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi. Yoginam, for those who are engaged in the pursuit of progressive path in the world. So it is not those who are Sankhyas and others. He has only specified Sankhyas and Yogi, not everybody. Everyone has a lifestyle, no problem. They are all karmi. But those who are doing or being in the path of karma, and those who are inclined to go towards this Atmajnan are called as yogis, are referred here as yogis, yoginam. So karma yoga for people like us who are engaged in the karma style of living, but who are also pursuing the path of Atmajnan. So let us take the word Niṣṭhā. Contextually, the meaning attributed to the word are commitment, steadfastness, a way of life, abiding orientation. This is the contextual meaning that is attributed to this word in this shloka. However, when you look up the Sanskrit dictionary, you will see several meanings: position, application, end or a catastrophe, distress, trouble, begging, asking, death, determination, perfection, judgment, decision about, and skill, etc. There are several meanings that you can find in the Sanskrit dictionary. The etymology of this word is derived from ni and stha. Stha is to stand, to remain, to abide. So the primary sense, therefore, is standing firmly in something, abiding in something, being established in something. The dictionary is showing all the ways the word has evolved in literature. We will take one of the craziest of the example, begging. This is derived based on standing in dependence upon another. So this evolved into seeking a support, which evolved into soliciting a support. So that is why when you look at the conventional dictionary, which uses more of the uh, you know uh, English way of putting it, or Western way of defining the words, you will see that there are several meanings that are attributed to the same word. We have spoken about it earlier too. In Sanskrit, it is the property that determines the word, the name for that word. So a dictionary records primary meanings, secondary meanings, poetic usages, technical usages, rare usages, all under one head word. And hence you will see such words. So it is important to understand that what is the context under which this word has to be read, or any of the scriptural text will have to be read. The Vedantic usage remains very close to the original idea, being firmly established in something. Bhagavan did not say Dvividhā margau, two paths, because paths are something that you choose to move on. Bhagavan did not say Dvividhā sadhana, two practices. Practices are also choices. Niṣṭhā represents something that you firmly establish yourself in. And hence, Bhagavan has very carefully used the word Niṣṭhā, is the way that we put it. Conflict in approach. Though Arjuna had asked, Tad ekam vada, tell one, Bhagavan starts with two Niṣṭhā. Here, there is an important value for us. As one matures, the direct instruction is often less valuable. For example, to a 3-year-old, a command is sufficient. Explanation perhaps will be even meaningless, as the child has not grown to the extent of understanding the explanation. Whereas to a 15-year-old, a command, though it may yield a result, is meaningless, as the obedience to that command will only be temporary at the most. A clear explanation is essential, and hence Bhagavan takes this approach of giving the right knowledge rather than telling Arjuna, you should do Karma Yoga. This is further established in Bhagavan addressing Arjuna as Anagha, oh, the sinless one. We will be seeing a very similar question in chapter 5. Again, he will say, hey, tell me which one is the path for me. And we will again explore that particular thing. And even towards the end, in completion of the 18th chapter, he says, I have given you the knowledge. Now you decide what you have to do. Earlier, what he had said, Uttishta, come on, get up. Yuddhaya yujjasva. Right? Put yourself into the path of this war kind of a stuff and all. But after the knowledge has been given, he says, now that I have given you the complete knowledge, you decide what is good. That is the way that Bhagavad Gita will end itself. But moving further, so what is Bhagavan's approach? There is something called as sadhana dvayam and nishtha dvayam. There are two means and two qualifications. But Bhagavan has not explicitly called out sadhya dvayam. There are some schools, there are some teachers, when they are explaining, they are also saying sadhya dvayam, in which they say that the sadhyam is what you accomplish. Sadhana is the effort that you put towards it. I perform this sadhana to accomplish this sadhyam. And because of that, they have also introduced something called as sadhya dvayam. In our darshana, we keep it as ekam eva sadhyam. There is only one which is to be attained. Later in the 5th chapter, Bhagavan clarifies this. Yathu sankyaihi prapyate sthanam tad yogaihi api gamyate. The same is the one that the yogis are also getting. Ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. So Bhagavan says, only when a person who sees like this is the true seer. Otherwise, he is not the true seer. And hence, we do not include sadhyadvayam. But there are schools that establish it, saying that the karma yoga, the purpose of karma yoga is chitta shuddhi. And the purpose of Jnana Yoga is moksham. How we see it? Niṣṭhā. As a lifestyle, Jnana Yoga is knowledge-driven, contemplative way of living, which is also called as Nivritti Marga. Karma Yoga is a socially productive path, which is Pravritti Marga. Moksham ekam eva sadhyam is the way that we put it. The means to attain pratishthit jnanat eva. What jnan? The atma jnan, atma swarupam, advitiyam. We have spoken about it also. So long as I see any division, it becomes dvitiyam, or any number, more than one. Advitiyam is very important, where the atma and anatma is also not separated. It is also seen as in totality. The separation is done for our buddhi to understand it. But realization is where you see it as one. Right? So as simple as when you are looking at the mirror, I can say, hey, this is the nose, this is the mouth, etc. But when you see it, okay, this is my face. This is me. Now, that is the way that you have understood the image. But then you mature to the point where you say, I am being reflected in that mirror. That is the path that we put in terms of the path of progress. So just wanted to clarify it to you, saying that in several schools when you go, most of them, they will say that there are two sadhyam, but we do not say it that way. And I'm just trying to say, why so? First reason, Bhagavan himself has said that ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. Very clearly he has said. The second thing is, what is the difference? How is it that we say? The karma yoga as a practice has to be practiced by those in the Sankhya Marga also. In whatever they are doing, they must have that asakta buddhi without the attachment into it. They must have the Ishvara Arpana buddhi. They must have the Prasada buddhi. The same thing applies to a person who is in the progressive path also, the karma yogi. So it doesn't differentiate at all. As an exercise, both karma yogam and jnana yogam are required. But in the jnana yoga or in the Sankhya way of living, it is purely the pursuit of knowledge through contemplation of the scriptures. Whereas in Karma Yoga, it is a pravritti marga, it is a progressive path wherein you bring goodness to the society, and at the same time, you have that Ishvara Arpana Buddhi in you. We will see a lot of it in this chapter because this is about Karma Yoga. So, what is the subtlety? Jnana Yoga. This is defined as Shravanam, Mananam, and Nitidhyasanam. Universal. Everybody defines Jnana Yoga as this. What is the way that we differentiate it? As a Niṣṭhā, as a way of life, Jnana Yoga refers to one letting go of Pravritti Marga, taking sannyasa, and surrendering to the study and the spreading of Agama Shastras, thus helping remove the Vipratipanna in the Shruti. I hope you remember the word Shruti Vipratipannate Yathastasyati Niṣṭhala. So Bhagavan would have spoken about this in the second chapter, saying that Shruti has the conflicting aspects in the way that it has expressed. That is not taken away at all. But we are, because we have the Shraddha in the Veda, that Vipratipanna has to be removed, has to be properly understood. For that particular marga, this is the way that they engage themselves in. As a Swadhyayam, it is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nitidhyasanam of the Atma Swarupam. And this is applicable to both the Niṣṭhas. You take a sannyas or you take the path of Karma Yoga. For you to realize the Atma Jnana, this Swadhyayam is required, which is to listen to the Shastra about the Atma Jnana, to contemplate about it, and go towards the realization that it is not what I see in the mirror is me. I am being reflected in the mirror. That differentiation between what your buddhi has understood and how you realize it as a knowledge has to come by. The study of I become essential for all, no matter which nishtha you adopt. The way that we started our life, deham eva aham, I am this body only. To what? To Chaitanya Abhasam, Chitabhasa Swarupam, the reflection. To what? To Chidananda Rupam, the Atma Swarupam. That is the path. That is the subtle difference that we bring about in our path, in our darshana. So between the two nishtas, the sadhana is different. They are subject to different ashrama dharma. When we say ashrama dharma, we are talking of varnashrama dharma, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Then ashramas are your brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastham, and sannyasam. But the practices in both the dharma needs to be in the form of karma yoga. Karma yoga contributes to chitta shuddhi. Atma Jnana delivers the same fruit, making those in the Vidvat Sannyasam as well as Grihastha to become liberated and elevated souls. As simple as that. So what is Vidvat Sannyasam? When we talk of sannyas, that is the Nivritti Marga, letting go of things. When we talk of that, there are two aspects. One is called as Vidvat Sannyasah and Vividisha Sannyasah. Right? Vidvat is Vidwan, as in one who is fully learned about it. And Vividisha is for the purpose of knowing. That for the purpose of knowing, and one who has realized it should be seen as the two forms of ashrama. So I think here I have written it wrong and I read it wrong also. Atma Jnana delivers the same fruit, making those in the Vividisha Sannyasam as well as Grihastha to be liberated and elevated. Vidvat is where the person is already liberated and elevated. So there is a small correction. Please make a note of it. Going further, Pura Prokta Mayanagha was told by me in the beginning. Here, Bhagavan establishes two things. That what I am speaking is not a new concept. This is the very structure of creation. And this is told by Bhagavan, as in, this is not Paurusheyam. Paurusheyam is something that is created by a man. Whereas that which is established by Bhagavan is Apaurusheyam. And here Bhagavan is establishing by using Pura Prokta, he is using these two as a clarity or clarification being provided. In the next chapter, Bhagavan will further clarify this concept, what is Pura Prokta. Vivaswan Manave Praha is all the way that it will go. But we will wait for the fourth chapter. Then Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. The first of the two Vidha and Niṣṭhā means and lifestyles. Jnana Yoga for those who are practicing the lifestyle of sannyasa, Sankhyanam. The term Sankhya has two usages. Sankhya as a philosophy, as a darshana. This is a tradition guided by Kapila Muni. There they would have created Prakriti and Purusha. And then there is an amazing amount of analysis that this particular tradition has done. There is a lot that is taken from the Sankhya philosophy, even in Advaita as well as in Dvaita. Ishvara is not a concept. That is the place where it totally varies. Like in Yoga Sutra, Ishvara is given a point, is given a place, whereas in Sankhya, it is only the Prakriti and the Purusha. Moksha is separation of Purusha from Prakriti Amsam. That is very similar to Dvaita concept actually. The teachings are still very influential in all darshanas, but this philosophy, I don't think, is anywhere in practice today. The term Sankhya has two usages, continuing that. Sankhya is also defined as Vastu Tattva Jnanam, the direct and definitive knowledge of the ultimate reality, the Atma Jnana. Basically, people with the knowledge of or in pursuit of Atma Jnana are Sankhyas. Thus, a sannyasi or a Tattva Jnani is called a Sankhya. In this context, the first of the two Niṣṭhās, Sankhyas, refer to those who have renounced the worldly way of life. They have taken up the Nivritti Marga. The Vidha for them is Jnana Yoga. As Acharya puts it, it refers to Vedānta Vijñāna Suniṣṭhitārthanam. Very clear. Here also Acharya has made it so very clear. Their path of life is committed to Vedanta, the Upanishad. Vijñāna, an absolute and thorough analysis. Suniṣṭhitārthanam. Basically, for determination of the pursuit of knowledge through scientific knowledge based on Vedanta and establish a definitive meaning. That is a place where we say Shruti Vipratipannate, that Vipratipanna being removed. Jnana Yoga refers to the practice of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nitidhyasanam. And this is applicable to all. However, for Sankhyas, or those who have embraced this lifestyle of Nivritti Marga, this is the only purpose of life. Even for survival, they seek bhiksha. There is no proprietorship to anything. That is the way that they should be, which may not be so very true, because we just look at the dress sometimes to determine whether he's a sannyasi or not whether the proprietorship is being attached or not. That proprietorship will be totally gone. Mamakaratvam will be zero, should be zero. That is the basic qualification for those who are in the path of Sankhya. Karma yogena yoginam. Bhagavan did not say karminam. Bhagavan did not say laukikam. Bhagavan did not say asankhyam, opposite of Sankhyas. Bhagavan says yoginam. This establishes that Bhagavan does not divide humanity into spiritual and non-spiritual people. He divides sincere seekers into two groups. Those in pursuit of Jnana Niṣṭhā, which is Sankhya, and those who are in pursuit of Atma Jnana but are engaged in the worldly affair. Bhagavan will even give examples later in this chapter. The Pravritti Marga, that he calls as Yoginah. The term yogi comes from the root called as yuj. There are two ways this root evolves. Yujir yoge, to join, to connect. Yuj samadhav, to concentrate, to collect. So yoginam represents a seeker, a devotee, anyone in the path of spiritual knowledge and liberation. The Niṣṭhā for them is karma yoga, karma yogena yoginam. Acharya puts it like this. At the very beginning of creation, Pura, Sarga Adau is the way that Acharya has used. Sarge Adau, in the beginning of it. Sarvajnena Ishwarena, one who knows everything, the Bhagavan, the Ishwar. taught the twofold spiritual discipline for the qualified seekers among the three varnas as the Vedic means for attaining both worldly prosperity and liberation. Abhyudaya Nishreyasa, O sinless one, Anaga. Now, Bhagavan explains that the twofold path, Dvividhā Niṣṭhā, was revealed at the creation itself as the Vedic means for human beings to attain both material well-being and spiritual freedom. Of the twofold discipline, Dvividhā Niṣṭhā, the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, is prescribed for the Sankhyas, Sankhyanam, those who possess discrimination between the self and the non-self, those who have embraced renunciation and are firmly established in the Brahman. Brahmani eva avastithanam is the way that Acharya is categorizing them. The second discipline is Karma Yoga, where action itself becomes the means of spiritual growth. Karma eva yoga. This path is prescribed for active seekers, yoginam karminam, who pursue liberation through the performance of duty. If knowledge and action were meant to be jointly practiced, jnana karmacha samuchitya anushteyam is the way that he has put it. Means if it is prescribed that both are to be practiced together by the same person for the same goal, ekasmai purusharthaya, then why would Bhagavan teach two distinct disciplines assigned to different categories of seekers? You need to understand the context is the Purva Paksha has been arguing from this point of view, and hence Acharya has taken the time to explain it from this point of view, to respond back to those Purva Paksha, especially to his dear disciple Arjuna. If it were imagined that Arjuna alone should practice both knowledge and action, while others follow separate path, then Bhagavan would become partial and unreliable, which is untenable. It cannot be accepted at all. Therefore, by no valid reasoning whatsoever can there be a combination of jnana and karma as a single discipline for the same seeker. Arjuna's statement that knowledge, which is buddhi, is superior to action remains unrefuted, and since Bhagavan explicitly assigns jnana nishtha to renunciate alone, sannyasinam eva, it is understood that two disciplines belong to different seekers. Seeing Arjuna, whose mind was dejected by the thought of you are urging me towards action, which is a cause of bondage, bandha karana, and who has inclined not to act, karma na arambhe. Bhagavan begins his teaching, na karmana manarambhat. This is again a very poetic way of representing the Guru's greatness. Herein the Guru is Bhagavan, and his greatness is being cited here by Acharya to say that what was his problem? I will not do my karma. And then Bhagavan starts saying, na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute is the way that it will go. So it's a very nice way of bringing it here. Alternatively, since Jnana Nishtha and Karma Nishtha are mutually opposed and cannot be simultaneously practiced by the same person, each must independently serve as a means to the highest goal. Karma Nishtha serves as a mean to attain Jnana Nishtha, and only in that indirect sense contributes to the highest goal. Jnana Nishtha, however, once attained through the aid of Karma Yoga, independently leads to liberation, requiring no further support. Karma Yoga is not an independent means to liberation, but a preparation for Jnana, self-knowledge. Once gained directly and independently, the Jnana leads to moksha. Jnanat eva tu kaivalyam is the way that we should keep this in our mind. And this Jnana we have discussed a lot. Going into the fourth shloka. Na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasanad eva siddhim samadhigacchati. Going word by word. Na karmanam anarambhat. Na is not karmanam. This is called as genitive plural form of the verb karmam, action. Grammatically, it translates to a collection or comprehensive. Na karmanam anarambhat, by not initiating. Contextually, just because one does not initiate a set of actions. That is the literal meaning of na karmanam anarambhat. Naishkarmyam. Naishkarmyam is one who has successfully abandoned all the action, as in one who has become an akarta. And we are all in the pursuit of becoming an akarta, because this karta bhavam is the one that is splitting, that is making two. The advitiyam is getting lost because of the karta bhavam, and the objective is to become an akarta. In the 5th chapter, Bhagavan will even put it, right? Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran, Nashnan, Gachan, right? So anything, eating or seeing, even though he does it, it is not he who does it. We will talk about it as we get into those places. So here, Naishkarmya Siddhi is what we are trying to attain, becoming an akarta. So what Bhagavan says, na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushaha ashnute. Purushaha refers to the chaitanyam in a body, all human beings. Ashnute, attains. Nacha sanyasanad eva. Also, na, not, cha, and sanyasanad eva, merely by taking the path of sannyasa. Contextually, nor does one who has renounced all the worldly activities by mere renunciation attains the siddhi. Siddhim samadhigacchati. Right? Sam adhigacchati is the way that you should look at it. Not samadhi. It is sam adhigacchati. Siddhim, a full attainment. Herein the objective of sannyas is the realization of Atmagyan. The siddhi refers contextually to moksha. Samadhi gacchati, attains, reaches, achieves, obtains is the one. Sam as an upasarga is in totality. Adhi is above or over. Gacchati is comprehensive attainment. Absolute attainment is what samadhi gacchati refers to in this context. Going into the analysis, now Bhagavan will establish that without one getting purified through karma yoga, one cannot take up sannyasa. It is only through excelling in the pravritti marga can one truly mature into the nivritti marga. I would put it as for the yogis. Here that is to be taken into consideration. Or we can even say that the path of sannyas for those who are pursuing to achieve the Atmagyan, for them again you can call their path to be the pravritti marga. Basically, the emphasis is on sadhana, the effort one puts as the only means to attain the liberation. It is not the lifestyle or the ashrama which defines whether one has attained liberation or not. Naishkarmyam. The root is kr, which means to do. Karmya is Sanskrit derivational form for noun with nish as the upasarga. Nish means without, free from, devoid of. And thus, Naishkarmyam means a state of being actionless. Acharya puts it as karma abhava atmani, the realization that self never acts. Action is the property of the three foundational gun of Prakriti, Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas. The Atma Swarupam developing the realization that I, the Atma Swarupam, is not the doer. So the Manobhavam of Arjuna can be called out as knowledge is superior, renunciate to pursue knowledge, fighting is a worldly activity, and that too a very terrible worldly activity. Therefore, I should renounce fighting and pursue the path of sannyas. That is the mindset of Arjuna. So here, Bhagavan is addressing that mindset. The difference needs to be established. Hence, Bhagavan starts by giving this clarity. Naishkarmyam is not non-performance of action. Rather, being engaged in the action in the best way possible. Bhagavan had earlier used kaushalam, in the best way possible, but without having a doership in the action, a feeling that I am the doer in it. For example, one might argue Arjuna did not say, I am going to become actionless. Because Arjuna never said, I am becoming actionless. He only said, Guru nahatva hi mahar bhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaikshyamapiha loke. I will take the bhiksha, life of bhiksha. Bhagavan is connecting this to the sthita prajna lakshan. Esha brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati. So he is connecting the question that, or the state that Arjuna is in, with reference to Arjuna's question on sthita prajna lakshan, to bring about this meaning. Arjuna's question is pursuit of jnana versus being engaged in swadharma, the war. Pursuit of jnana plus bhiksha, referring to the lifestyle of sannyas, versus engagement in war, referring to letting go of swadharma, a non-performer of action. And hence Bhagavan has said, just because one renounces his swadharma, one does not attain the non-doership. What will happen? The mind will continue to think of the war. I could have done this. The state would become physically, I am not there, but mentally I am in the war, even when I am outside taking a bhiksha. So, prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan is the way that sthita prajna lakshan started. That manogatan will never happen. State of non-doership can only be attained when one renounces both in action and thought. Just because Arjuna is renouncing the action, it doesn't mean he has attained the siddhi or he has gone towards the true sannyas, is the way that Bhagavan has approached. Another Acharya had very beautifully put it. Similar to how being in sorrow during a sorrowful state is not a means to overcome the sorrowful state. To realize the state of akarta, akarmam is not the means. Do you understand? It's a very, very nice way. I am sad and I have to overcome that sorrow. Then I have to do something to overcome that sorrow. It could be as stupid as watching a TV, or it could be going out for running or something. But if in case I'm going to be flushed down in sorrow, will I come out of sorrow? I won't. So coming out of sorrow, sorrow is not a means. Similarly, to become an akarta, akarmam, not performing an action, is not the means, is the way that he had put it. Bhagavan says, na karmanam anarambat naishkarmyam purushoshnate. Seemingly contradictory. Non-engagement in action is not a means to become actionless. Upanishads will declare, aham brahmasmi, right? Nishkriyam brahma. Liberation is the realization that I am Brahma, wherein Brahma is one who is actionless. So the key message is Naishkarmya Bhavam is Jnana Phalam and not Karma Tyaga Phalam. The problem is not karma, the action. Rather, the problem is the kartritvam, the doership. Naishkarmyam, thus, is freedom from the doership and not freedom from action. So merely not engaging in anarambat, action will not lead you to naishkarmyam. Siddhim samadhi gacchati. Samadhi gacchati, okay, has nothing to do with samadhi. I was just thinking of it. So we already saw what is samadhi gacchati. The meaning is completely attained. Siddhi. Acharya defines it as Jnana Yoga Yogyatha. which is antahkarana shuddhi, fitness for the knowledge or spiritual accomplishment. So only when I'm fit can I be going towards that. That fitness is the phalam of doing this karma yoga. It broadly refers to the realization of a goal, whether that is successful completion of a task, the mastery of a skill, or spiritual enlightenment. When discussing Vishnu Sahasranama, we had spoken about Ashtasiddhi. Since Bhagavan said, Nacha sanyasanad eva, in the path of taking sannyas, this relevance is attached to this in our darshana. When we look at it, we also say that when we talk of Siddhi, you need to think of Siddhi from that point of view as well. Atma Jnanam is the ultimate, but there are several Siddhis that the Shastras have spoken about. And what are those Siddhi? We have 4 categories of it, and each of them has 2 types, and we will talk about it in our next class. Hari Bhaiya ji.
Thank you. I was also following, trying to listen into the prior classes, as I missed a lot. One thing I just, for this today's class, I was thinking about asking, was Arjuna was thinking about it is because of a path he would like to take, like sannyasa yoga, or other than the war, other than doing the action and karma, was he thinking that that path he would, maybe in a wrong word, maybe is it easier he's thinking, or was it he thinking that actually he just wanted to get the moksha sooner than taking an action in the war? So what was the reason he was constantly thinking like that?
The reason is more along the lines of ragaha, the attachment that he had towards
Mm,
his guru and Bhishma.
okay.
So if
Okay.
you go
Yep.
back to the first chapter in
Yep.
the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, there the downfall would be
Mm,
seen of Arjuna.
got it.
In the second chapter, towards the beginning, he will totally break down. In between these 2 chapters, his expression will be that, in fact, it comes in the first chapter to be very, clear, where Arjuna will say that instead of killing our own people, the kinsmen, it will be better that I let go of everything and takes a life of bhiksha. And he reiterates it in the second chapter as well. So his intent of taking the sannyas was not siddhim prapti. It was to say that I do not want the rajya and sukham of that particular bhogam of that particular rajya. That is the reason why he wanted to go into sannyas. Bhagavan has taken this explanation because the objective of sannyas is siddhi, naishkarmya siddhi. And because the objective of sannyas is that, Bhagavan has used saying that, hey, just because you take sannyas, you do not get that. And at the same time, just because you do not engage in an action, you do not achieve the state of being a non-actor. Arjuna did not want to say that, hey, I will take up sannyas for me to get siddhi. He wanted to say that, hey, I am going to let go of it and live a life of sannyas. Perhaps Arjuna had not even thought that his objective is to get the Atmajnan or to get the Siddhi. So when you take up sannyas, the objective changes. And that has not been said anywhere in Bhagavad Gita that his objective was that. Rather, Bhagavan has put in this particular word, has given this clarification to Arjuna because Arjuna did not know that his lifestyle change will also mean an objective change. And he wanted to clarify that the objective that you may go towards in sannyas will not be reached just because you have taken up a sannyas. Does it answer your question?
Yes, Guruji. That's a good one. Sometimes I do put in that perspective. You do have to take some actions. You may not like them. It's simple at work, like letting go people and doing the right thing and accountabilities and things like that. And emotionally connected that I don't want to do that, right?
Yep.
But it is very well connected. I remember multiple times your act is very important, doing the right thing. Yeah.
Correct. Every time that thought comes to your mind, think of Bhishma Pitama. He
Oh
knew
my gosh. Yeah.
that
Amazing.
he was on the wrong side, yet he had to do his Swadharma. Okay? Then we will take a leave here and we will connect again in our next week's class. Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat